So I got this comment from a viewer on the channel, which is actually what inspired me to make this video, and I will provide a detailed response to it at the Lingyang Synergy section of this video. There are a lot of misconceptions surrounding Zhezhi about if you should pull for her or not, to the extent that people are actually regretting pulling for her, which is surprising to hear because those that actually regret pulling for her do not know the true value of the character that they pulled for. So I hope this video clears things up for anyone watching. Before we begin, I would really appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe to help the channel. There's a lot to unpack in this video, so let's get started. I'm going to be breaking this video into 6 parts, which I will include timestamps so that you can quickly navigate to your preferred section. We'll be covering why she's a must pull, her synergy with Lingyang, her synergy with Jinshi, how to properly build her, how to recover resonance energy fairly quickly, how to build her stacks called afflatus without actually doing any normal attacks. Starting off, let's talk about why she's a must pull. There are different reasons to pull for different characters in the game, and let me be clear that I'm not interested in the so-called meta in the game. Call this coping or whatever you like, but the so-called meta term in any game that I've played so far is useless to me because it takes the fun out of any game that I've played in my lifetime. Whenever I pull for characters in Within Waves, I make sure that I will enjoy them before I pull. However, as the channel grows and I start making decent income, I will pull for every character with the intention of giving you a showcase of their full potential to help you decide if you want to pull for them or not. But for now, every pull is influenced by my own personal preference. Take Jinshi for example. I wanted dungeon sequences so bad that I ended up pulling on Jinshi's banner and accidentally won the 50-50. Did I regret it? No, because it was still early game at the time, and at least I had a powerhouse that can help me clear the Tower of Adversity to get more astrides since my income is currently really limited. But do I enjoy playing Jinshi? Absolutely no. Don't get me wrong, she's a very strong character, but I don't enjoy the whole one-hit nuke playstyle. It's too easy for me and it makes me feel like I don't have full control over the character that I'm playing, and maybe this is something that I adopted from the vast majority of fighting games that I've played in the past. If you like big damage or care about meta in Within Waves so much, then you should absolutely go for such characters because it's your account and you have the freedom to do whatever that you want with it. However, don't let your pursuit of meta characters blindside you to the role that some characters are meant to be played in the game. Take Zhezhi for example. The reason I pulled for her was because I am a Lingyang main and I need a sub DPS that deals a lot of off-field damage and can buff my Lingyang at the same time. And Zhezhi fits that description perfectly, but perhaps the reason you might want to pull her is either to use her as a support for Jinshi, mainly to help her recover her incandescent stacks really quickly, or deal a lot of damage off-field. If you pulled her or are about to pull her for any of these reasons, I assure you that you will never regret it because she excels at all the roles that I mentioned earlier. There's actually a much easier way to determine if you should pull for a character or not, which has already been built in the game. All you have to do is just navigate to the team selection screen, click on any of the available slots, and click on any character that you have available. For Zhezhi, you can see that a lot of information pops up that can help you determine whether you should pull for her or not, excluding her outro skill buff. The first one says concerto energy efficiency, which means that you will never have a hard time generating concerto energy with Zhezhi because all you have to do is just do 3 teleportation attacks and use your resonance liberation, which gives you a full concerto energy every rotation. And this is quite overpowered because it reduces her on-field time by a significant margin. The second one says basic attack damage, which indicates that her main damage source scales off basic attack. Third one also sets coordinated attacks, which indicates that she can deal damage off-field. The fourth one, which is my personal favorite, says resonance liberation regeneration, and this simply means that she excels at regenerating energy for the teammate that triggers her outro skill. And another thing that the game does not tell you is that she's also good at generating energy for herself and her teammate even when she's on field. This is because she can use her resonance skills 3 times, which generates a decent amount of energy for herself, and roughly 50% of that energy goes to her teammate. Her outro also buffs glacial damage and resonance skill damage. This gives her a much higher pull value than a character like Yinlin for example. Now before you attack me in the comments for saying that, just hear me out. The main damage source of most of the on-field DPS characters that we have in the game currently comes from their resonance skill, and this includes Jinshi, Changli, and Lingyang. Yeah, you probably had no idea that Lingyang's main source of damage comes from his resonance skill, but I'll go over it in detail at the Lingyang Synergy section. This makes Zhezhi in high demand because she buffs resonance skill damage by 25%, and I'm sure most of you watching this video right now either have Jinshi or Changli on your account. Also, Zhezhi's off-field damage is considered basic attack damage, hence her off-field damage output will increase significantly if you get more basic attack bonus substats from your echo tuning, buffs from support characters like Sanhua, and leveling of her resonance liberation. This is why she also excels as a main DPS character if you want to play her in that role, since she can have her own dedicated support like Sanhua and Verena. So with all that said, should you pull for Zhezhi? I would say yes, because even if you don't have Lingyang, Jinshi or Changli, she can act as a hybrid character that could fulfill many roles including DPS, support and sub DPS, and most importantly, she is very easy to play with. Let's move on to her synergy with Lingyang. Every part of Zhezhi's supportive kit was specifically made for Lingyang, and that is exactly why I titled my previous Tower of Adversity run video, Zhezhi was made for Lingyang. First of all, Zhezhi provides 20% glacial damage bonus, which is great for Lingyang's overall damage output. She also provides 15 energy to the character that enters the field by triggering her outro, which is absolutely amazing for Lingyang because you need his resonance liberation to deal more damage, and this basically guarantees that Lingyang will also have his resonance liberation ready by the time that you swap to him to deal damage. In addition to that, Lingyang also acts as a battery to provide resonance energy to Zhezhi and other teammates. As you can see here, Havoc Rover does not have any echoes or energy regeneration weapons, but after a full damage window for Lingyang, he was able to help Havoc Rover recover almost 50% of her total energy, and this is due to the fact that Lingyang can use his resonance skill every normal attack, which helps his teammates recover roughly 50% of the energy that he gets whilst he is on the field. Couple this with the fact that Zhezhi provides 15 energy every time Lingyang triggers her outro, indicate that they can both sustain each other in terms of resonance energy generation, even if you build both of them as damage dealers. Zhezhi also provides 25% skill damage bonus for Lingyang, which makes Lingyang broken, and you're probably confused by now because you thought Lingyang's main damage source was from his basic attacks. I want you to watch this clip closely and tell me whether he deals more damage from his basic attacks or resonance skill. As you saw in the clip, Lingyang's skill damage contributes to a high percentage of his damage output, which is even more than his basic attacks, and this is made possible because of his inherent skill that buffs his skill damage by 150% after using a basic attack while he's in creative mode. And bear in mind that this skill hits twice. Hence, Zhezhi's resonance skill buff is an absolute game changer for him, especially if you were not able to roll many resonance skill damage bonus stats when you were tuning your echoes. Now, I know that one guy who will visit the Pridewin website after watching this video and comment that
actually Pridewin's damage profile says otherwise.
But before you do that, remember that I have about 200 hours on Lingyang, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. Regarding the ongoing debate whether Sanhua is a better support for Lingyang instead of Zhezhi, I agree that Sanhua offers faster rotation times than Zhezhi because Sanhua does not spend too much time on the field. But bear in mind that Zhezhi deals more damage than Sanhua, and you don't need a spreadsheet to prove this because making a 4-star that anyone can get for free deal more damage than a 5-star sub DPS unit like Zhezhi will hurt Kuro Games' return on investment. You just need to put more resources into Zhezhi to build her properly before you realize her true damage potential. And the issue with the long field time for Zhezhi can actually be cut in half if you know exactly how to recover her full Forte stacks without actually doing normal attacks, which I will cover in the last section of this video. Now let's move on to her synergy with Jinshi. Zhezhi is one of the most incredible supports that Jinshi can have, and it's not even about the 25% skill damage bonus when you trigger her outro. Zhezhi's resonance liberation, which acts as coordinated attacks to help Jinshi recover her incandescent or Forte stacks, lasts for 30 seconds, which is insane for Jinshi, and here's why. It's actually so strong that it's able to fill Jinshi's incandescent stacks very quickly without the need for another character that provides coordinated attacks. This opens up the possibility of deciding not to use someone like Yuanwu for Jinshi, because in my experience Yuanwu is a bit difficult to play as a support for Jinshi, mainly because he's very bad at regenerating concerto energy, but his coordinated attacks are actually quite effective in regenerating Zhezhi's incandescent stacks. If you pair Zhezhi with Yuanwu in a Jinshi team, Zhezhi's incandescence fills up so quickly as if they were on steroids, and you can actually do 2 Dragon Blast within the 30 seconds duration of Zhezhi's Resonance Liberation. This makes it very easy to recover incandescent stacks, and on top of that, Zhezhi buffs resonance skill damage by 25%, so your Jinshi can deal even more damage. If this doesn't convince you to pull for Zhezhi, then I don't know what will. The next thing we're going to take a look at is how to build her properly. For her weapons, I previously made a video about her best weapon alternatives if you're too broke like me and can't afford to pull her signature, so be sure to watch that video. But to go over the weapon options briefly, always go for a 5-star weapon with a high base attack if you are playing her as a DPS or even a sub DPS, because every type of damage in the game that you deal scales off base attack, and 5-star weapons are known to have high base attack. So that means that your best weapon options will either be her signature weapon, String Master, or Cosmic Ripples. I strongly suggest that you check out the weapon breakdown video to help you make good informed decisions on your account before you actually pull for certain weapons that you want to give to Zhezhi. For her echoes, I mostly prefer the Freezing Frost echo sets because I like to play her as a sub DPS, but the Moonlit Clouds is also a great option if you're not interested in a damage output and you just want the 20% attack buff, but it's not really recommended if you're more interested in the resonance energy it provides, because there are specific rotations that you can use to make sure that you can recover more resonance energy depending on specific team building, and the Lingyang energy recovery tech that I mentioned earlier in the Lingyang Synergy section was actually one of them. Now let's move on to how you can recover resonance energy fairly quickly with Zhezhi. As I already mentioned, Zhezhi's resonance liberation lasts for 30 seconds, and the main part of a kit that generates the most resonance energy is her 3 blink or teleportation attacks. So there are 3 things that you can do to recover energy more quickly. The first thing is to always use your resonance liberation before you perform your 3 teleportation or blink attacks. This will make sure that you have some resonance energy before you swap to another character. However, there are situations where you will switch to Zhezhi and you need a little bit of resonance energy to use your resonance liberation again. If that's the case, you don't need to spam her normal attacks to get the remaining energy, because you will spend too much time on the field not dealing any significant damage with her normal attacks. What you need to do instead is to use her Forte circuit, which is the 3 teleportation attacks, and if either of them fully fills your resonance liberation, cast your resonance liberation at that moment, because you can cast your resonance liberation in midair and then continue the rest of your teleportation attacks, which will help you gain some resonance energy before Zhezhi exits the field. It's also worth mentioning that performing 2 intro skills with Zhezhi, which I will explain in the next section, helps contribute to faster resonance energy regeneration. Now let's look at how you can recover her Forte stacks much easier. Whenever you perform an intro skill, you gain about half of the total Forte stacks that you need to perform her teleportation attacks. So the trick is to intro with Zhezhi twice to fully fill her Forte stacks without doing any normal attacks, and you need a full team to do this properly. I actually showcased this a few times in my previous Tower of Adversity runs. What you need to do is to quickly swap to Zhezhi after your main DPS exits the field. After that, don't do any normal attacks with her, but dodge if you have to, then quickly swap to your other teammate, preferably the healer in your team, like Verena, which will make her start her basic attacks from the 3rd stage up to the 5th stage, which helps her recover 1 Forte stacks, cast her skill to fill another stack, and then jump and do your basic attacks or normal attack to consume your Forte stacks to fully fill your concerto energy, and then swap back to Zhezhi for another intro, and there you have it. You've got full Forte stacks without actually wasting precious time doing any normal attacks. I think that covers everything I've learned about Zhezhi so far. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe because this video took me quite a long time to make. I'll see you guys in the next one.
So please whatever.